I'm creating this video for you if you have decided to register your creative brand as a business or as a company, as the case may be. Every creator knows that they should register their business at one point or the other, and perhaps you've also decided to go on with your registration, but there are certain considerations that many creatives do not pay attention to when they decide to register their company. And by the end of this video, you will be equipped with the right information and be able to take action on registering your company and getting it right once and for all. I'm going to share with you 3 of those considerations here that I've had to deal with creatives who come in to restructure their brand because they did not pay attention to some of these things that I'm going to share with you in this video. And of course, we're able to assist them to then set things right. How about you get it right from the get-go and on the first try so that you can then focus on what you're best at doing, which is creating. I am Abisola Esq. I am an IP lawyer and founder of LSCC, Empowering Creatives with Practical Legal Insight. LSCC works with creatives, digital creators across different fields, empower them with insights to make informed decisions about their creations and just fully maximize their creative brand. Besides registering your company with the Corporate Affairs Commission, you definitely want to register a company that serves you. The very first thing is your name. What are you called, or what do you intend to be called? What are you currently called? I know that this probably sounds like an oversimplification, but I'm going to explain it to you. Many creatives, in registering their creative brand, usually register names that are generic and names that they would not be able to have an exclusive right over. And one of the misconceptions that I find that creatives have is thinking that CSC registration is equal to the trademark protection, and it is not. So the fact that you are able to successfully register a name with the Corporate Affairs Commission does not mean that it is available for you to use as a trademark. This is vital for you as a creative because your name is one of the intellectual property assets that you have, and you want to be sure that you're able to fully own it. And at LSCC, when we are speaking to creatives who intend to put legal structure in their brand, we usually advise that in the course of registering their names with the Corporate Affairs Commission, they actually do a trademark search at the trademark registry to be sure that the name they intend to register for their company does not currently infringe a trademark. Because the thing is, if the names are infringing, chances are that if the owner of the trademark that already exists wants you to stop using that name that CSC did approve for you, you would have to stop using the name. And as a creative, where you understand that every part of your creative brand, from your name to your content, to just everything that you represent has value and is intellectual property, then you want to get started on the right footing. One of the things that just lead to this is creatives use a generic name. As a creative, when you're registering your company, you definitely want something that aligns with your brand, something that is truly authentic to you, something that is unique. You're a creative. I mean, you shouldn't have a problem with that. And so just avoid the trap of using very generic names, because you are not just a supermarket selling goods and services of every single person, and then where you can have a name like Esther's Collection, that generic names. For a creative, that is a very dangerous place to be. That is not the best place to be as a creative. You want to be sure that you are from the get-go selecting a name that you can truly own, because that is a part of the assets that you're building. So avoid generic names, and always be sure that if someone is helping you out with the company registration, to always verify against the trademark database to be sure that you're not infringing, and just be able to have a name that you can truly own in every sense of it. Let me know in the comments, is this something that ever came to mind when you were about to register your business? Let me know in the comment. I'd love to hear from you, because I do deal with a lot of creatives who did not even consider this as one of the things that they should bear in mind. The decision to register your brand as a company with a Corporate Affairs Commission could have been something that you are now considering, maybe based off the previous video. If you didn't see that, it's a video on legal reset for the creator, and you can watch it somewhere here, where we talked about legal steps that every creative brand who intends to take their brand seriously should take right away. And it's not anything overwhelming, it's something that they can actually do. And I do have a gift for you, which is a checklist for legal research that gives you insight into some of the areas and some of the questions you should be asking yourself as a creative brand who intends to take their brand to the next level, and especially having a solid legal foundation for their brand. It's going to be linked in the description. It is the Creative Legal Reset Checklist that covers some of the areas that we delve into when taking on one-on-one clients with respect to their intellectual property strategy and just the intellectual property setup. And it is one of the tools that I use when working with creatives who intend to have an intellectual property strategy or have an intellectual property reset and just define the intellectual property system. So you're welcome. It's going to be linked in the description, and it's available at no cost to you whatsoever. You're welcome. The right structure. Creatives need to be sure that they are registering their businesses using the right structure. And of course, the different kinds of entities that you could register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. It could be a business name, it could be a company limited by guarantee, it could be a private or public limited company, it could be a company limited by guarantee, it could be an incorporated trustee. But what I find is that most creatives usually have to choose between registering a business name and registering a company. But from my experience as an IP lawyer in the last 7 years, I don't quite see a lot of reason why creatives should consider a business name. It's just best to, most of the times, it's just best to register as a company, because the many advantages that the business name had over company has now been blurred. It used to be that to register a company you needed multiple directors, at least 2 directors, you just needed a couple of other things. It was a bit more complex than registering a business name. But that is no longer the case, because right now an individual can own a company in its entirety, can be the director, can be the only director, can be the only shareholder. And so unless you don't have any plans of separating your brand from yourself, which again, most of the time it's a good thing to separate that. But doing that, if you are registering a business name, you would not be able to do that. But if you're registering a company, you definitely be able to seamlessly separate yourself from the brand in a way that there's just a proper structure there. And that's what we usually advise our clients to go for most of the time. But again, this is not legal advice. This is me speaking on a general note. For instance, if you're reaching out to LSCC, we kind of talk to you to get a full picture of what you have in mind, and then we take it from there, advising you on what is best for your specific situation. You want to get the structure right, because the wrong structure can limit you. And why limit yourself? You want to set up a company, you want to set up a structure that serves and supports your business properly. And so you want to be sure that you are choosing the right structure for your brand. I hope that this video kind of gives you some insight into the best structure that applies to you. Next is your business object. You want to pay close attention to your business object, and it's best to have a professional advise you based on what you have in mind and what they know to be the best place for your business. And when drafting objects, at LSCC, we want to be sure that it is wide enough to cater for your future. And one mistake that I have seen people make with respect to this is actually having objects that are too wide or too narrow. You want to find a perfect balance between what is just right for you while still accommodating your future expansions. And sometimes people take this overboard, that it then affects there right now. This is an example of what I mean by that. There's a client that I was dealing with who we had to restructure the company, of course, and we had to restructure the company because the objects were just so wide that they needed to comply with certain requirements which they were not ready to do at the time. And because the objects were drafted so wide, and then they had to comply with certain minimum requirements that the business at the time was not ready for. And that's why it's really important to have an expert draft these clauses for you, and they can do an excellent job for you based on what you have told them that you want to do and what they, from their experience and expertise, can put together as just right for your brand. So you don't want it to be so wide that then you have to comply with certain mandatory standards that your business or your creative brand is not yet ready for. And you don't want it so narrow that it then kind of doesn't give any room for progress. Of course, you could always change your business objects, but that will come at an additional cost and additional expense, which you can just avoid from the get-go. This video is particularly useful for the one who has decided to register their company, but ensuring that you do it right once and for all. And of course, one thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to when they register a company or when they're registering a company is the fact that now they'll need to comply with some form of submissions and regulations. For instance, your annual returns, which is something that you always have to file at the end of each year with the Corporate Affairs Commission. This is not the payment of taxes. That's a separate conversation and that's a separate system altogether. But then you also need to be able to comply with some of statutory requirement with respect to running a business. And these are some of the things that creatives need to be aware of before registering and just after registering their business. And as a creative, you need to have this information at least in a basic and generic sense, just so that you are in compliance with the provisions of the law. And again, I have to say that if you're just starting out as a creative, these are not things that are beyond you. These are things that you can actually do. And of course, these are some of the services that we offer at LSCC. So if you'd like us to assist you with any of these processes, we'll be happy to. A link will be in the description where you can speak to a member of the team at LSCC, and we'll be happy to assist you from there. And if you found this video useful, share it with a creative who can benefit from this as well. Again, I'm always rooting for you. I wish you all the best in your creative journey, and I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in the next one.